Get ready for Changing Worldviews with Sharon Hughes, the 30-minute show packed with an hour's worth of information, bringing you familiar guests on important issues such as immigration, education, the Middle East, culture, religion, and the changing worldviews of Americans and the world. You've seen her on Fox News, you've read her on the World Wide Web. Now here's Sharon.
For such a time as this.
Freeing the minds of the brainwashed masses.
Well, welcome to our weekend Woman Talk edition of the show, where my friends Audrey, Russo, and Debra join me to talk about some of the hottest topics with some fantastic guests. And today, in New York, a bill has been proposed by Democrat Assemblywoman Margaret Markey that would require all public school students to undergo mental health exams more than once in order to attend. The bill would amend current law requiring physical health examinations to include the following language. Each such certificate shall also state that a psychological examination was performed and that the child is mentally fit to perform attendance at school. The head football coach of Mooresville High School in North Carolina was ordered to stop baptizing players and leading them in prayer following criticism from the Freedom From Religion Foundation. They wrote a request that Coach Capps cease leading prayers and joining baptisms for his players as a base rule of separating public school activities and religious ceremonies. He was confronted by the school, told to stop, which he agreed to do, and these kinds of fights are going on all over our nation. Paul Reville, an education professor at Harvard and former Massachusetts Secretary of Education, said last Friday, quote, "The children belong to all of us. We have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families and recognize that kids belong to whole communities." Unquote.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, he really said that. And that's what we're going to be talking about today.
You're listening to Sharon Hughes, coming to you from the Wild, Wild West, and we mean wild.
Today we're going to be talking about government versus the family, specifically one area that the current administration, I believe, is doing that exploits young people and indoctrinates them, and that has to do with the civilian security force. We talked about that earlier. I want to get Debra and Audrey's take on it. And we want to talk about education and the poor job that our educational system is doing in educating our children about our history, and not just the founding documents, but the very basis foundation for our nation, whether it's the Constitution or the Bill of Rights. Ladies and gentlemen, if we don't get this right, we will not be passing on the baton of freedom and liberty, as imperfect as it may be, humanly speaking, here in America. Still, that which our founders gave us, and that which was in the heart of the pilgrims who came here to establish this nation, to honor God with our lives and with our laws, it's pretty striking. So here's that discussion that we recorded earlier this week. What I want to do is play a clip that this is a man on the street. It's by a fellow by the name Mark Dice, and he went to a very prestigious university in Southern California and was interviewing students as they were going in. And I have to say, these were not pick and choose where he only picked out those that didn't know the answers. And he was just standing there and as the kids were approaching. So I want to just play this because he's asking them to name some of the Bill of Rights. And this is so striking. Well, just listen for yourself, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm telling you, I'm bringing this up because this shows you how poorly our education system is teaching our kids or not teaching them. And if you scratch your head and wonder why young people are saying, well, what's wrong with capitalism? And, oh, you're from the dark ages if you think there's a communist threat. It's because they're not being taught the truth. Here, take a listen to this.
We're talking about the Bill of Rights today. Can you name some of the Bill of Rights?
I have homework due like 2 hours.
Okay, but I'm giving you homework. I'm asking about your Bill of Rights homework. Have you brushed up on that?
No, not recently.
What are the Bill of Rights?
What's the foundation basically of this country or what?
Yeah, can name some of the Bill of Rights.
Can't think of any off the top of my head right now.
You can't name any of them off the top of your head?
No.
You're a college student at one of the most prestigious schools in Southern California.
Engineering.
And you don't know the basic Bill of Rights. Shame on you.
Yeah.
So go and look them up and study them after you get done studying whatever you're studying today.
When I get the chance, yes.
We're talking about the Bill of Rights today.
Oh, I don't know anything about that.
No, are you an American?
I am.
And you don't know anything about the Bill of Rights?
No, I
You are part of the problem. You are the reason. You are the reason this country's going down the toilet.
Oh my God, I can't believe
It's true. Can you name some of the Bill of Rights?
I remember studying it, but I don't remember it.
I mean, that's not important these days, right?
I gotta go study.
You're going to study the Bill of Rights since you don't know them?
No, I'm gonna go study economics.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure that you're going to really do good in that when you don't know the Bill of Rights. Talking about the Bill of Rights here at this institution of higher learning, can you name 3 of the Bill of Rights for us?
No.
Can you name 2?
I think it's...
Talking about the Bill of Rights today. You don't know them, do you? Shame on you. We're talking about the Bill of Rights today.
How about you just direct me towards the Wells Fargo ATM?
You're interested in... We're not talking about banking, but we're real quick here. Just name 2 of the Bill of Rights.
Freedom of speech, and somebody asked me this question yesterday, and that's the only one I know.
So you just earned a 10%, which is a failure.
I'm sorry.
A big F for failure.
How about you give me 10 of them?
Okay. Freedom of speech, right to bear arms. You don't have to quarter soldiers in your house during peacetime.
It literally says quarter soldiers during
You don't
peacetime?
have to during peacetime. That's
That
the
was-
Third
that's-
Amendment.
okay.
Well, I'm going to stop it there because it goes on for about 7 minutes. But if you're interested, you can let us know and we'll direct you to where you can find that clip and hear the whole thing. But stunning, right, girls? This is a prestigious university. This isn't like a little local college.
I'm just overwhelmed. I could see if a third grader were asked, but you're talking about college students here.
Unbelievable.
It is unbelievable.
Unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so having said that, I wanted to bring up the issue of Common Core. A lot of folks know what this is all about, and it's very interesting that in addressing criticism about Common Core national education standards, a panelist at the Center for American Progress, which is a liberal think tank, said that critics were, quote, a tiny minority who opposed standards altogether, which was unfair because, you ready for this, ladies and gentlemen? Quote, the children belong to all of us. The children belong to all of us. Now, this guy, his name is Paul Reville, and he was once the Massachusetts Secretary of Education. And he is unquestionably a member, in good standing with the whole establishment. And let me just read a little bit more of what he said, just because this worldview, we're talking about worldviews here, ladies and gentlemen, that shape policy or whatever. He said, we have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families and recognize that kids belong to whole communities. Why should some towns and cities and states have no standards or low standards and others have extremely high standards when the children belong to all of us and would move to different states in their educational lives? And the same logic applies to the nation. And it makes sense to educators and it makes sense to policymakers. And it's why people have voluntarily entered into this agreement. Well, it does not make sense to me, and I doubt that it makes sense to you girls, but this is just the kind of mentality, right? That the children belong to us. Hillary said it, a couple decades ago, or whatever. It takes a village. And so if the public, if the culture believes this, they will yield their children even more. And they will not then be the watch guards that they need to be as parents or whatever, right?
They become the guardians of everyone's rights. Isn't that interesting? What happened to individual rights? Don't worry, we'll protect you.
Well, and one of the comments that Hillary Clinton made was there's no such thing as other people's children. Well, we've all read The Brave New World where everyone belongs to everyone else, the concept that you just brought. Well, everybody doesn't share the same value system. Everybody's culture does not honor the things that our culture honors, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. How can we be dependent on other people to guide us if their value system has no intersection with our own.
It should be very, very troubling to every single parent to find out that there are people in the educational system and in state assemblies and in our national government, federal government, that have these kinds of mentalities, ladies and gentlemen. And Miss Hillary, Audrey, you said it. She's probably going to be throwing her hat in the ring to sit in the White House. And those are the kind of worldviews that she's going to be, if she gets in there, she's going to be promoting. Well, we have to take a quick break. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, talking about children, I've got a clip that I'm going to play. It's really a montage of comments regarding President Obama's civilian security force and how he plans to and actually has in place places for our children to be of service for our country. Wait till you hear this if you haven't. We'll be right back.
Exposing the worldviews behind the political, cultural, and ideological wars molding the minds of Americans and the world today.
In fact, Hitler wrote fan mail to the associates of Margaret Sanger of Planned Parenthood, who also was a eugenicist and who wished to eliminate the existence of two-thirds of humanity through her methods.
Changing Worldviews encourages listeners to get engaged and help turn the tide. It's everyone's civic responsibility.
Are we going to use this technology and knowledge to help and elevate people, or are we going to use our knowledge and technology to suppress them, to harm them? This is the goal of eugenics movements and those who have allied movements.
Won't you help continue to stay on this station in your area and reach even more listeners with a financial donation? Go to www.changingworldviews.com donate page and give either a one-time contribution or become a monthly partner. Or send your check to Changing Worldviews, P.O. Box 750624, Petaluma, California 94975-0624. Please make a donation today.
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. Debra Ray, Audrey Russo, and I are talking about the government versus children. And I want to play a clip, and it's a little over 5 minutes. I aired it on the show on Monday, and I want to play it so we could get the full effect of, remember, just a couple of years ago when it all came out that President Obama wanted to develop a civilian security force and using young people and make it mandatory that it be for a 2-year stint. I'm going to play that, then I want to get Audrey and Debra's take on it, but without further ado, let me go ahead and play that.
So we're going to send more college graduates to teach and mentor our young people. We'll call on Americans to join an energy corps to conduct renewable energy and environmental cleanup projects in their neighborhoods all across the country. We will enlist our veterans to find jobs and support for other vets, and to be there for our military families. And we're going to grow our foreign service, open consulates that have been shuttered, and double the size of the Peace Corps to renew our diplomacy. We cannot continue to rely only on our military in order to achieve the national security objectives that we've set. We've got to have a civilian national security force that's just as powerful, just as strong, just as well-funded.
These crazy things may actually be happening. The President of the United States literally means this.
We cannot continue to rely only on our military in order to achieve the national security objectives that we've set. We've got to have a civilian national security force that's just as powerful, just as strong, just as well-funded.
Mr. President, why do we need a civilian national security force that is just as strong, just as powerful as the military? Here's why I ask that question. Who are we fighting exactly? Who internally is threatening our security?
A couple questions is, why is it called universal? And why is it not all military? Why is there a civilian force? And as I said, what are 4 other purposes, quote unquote? Well, in 2009, the Department of Defense issued 1409.10, which is the Civilian Expeditionary Warfare document. And President Obama also signed Executive Orders 12-425 through 13-524 for emergency operations, stability operations, or the restoration of order. So why do we need to have civilian forces and military forces for special stability and restoration of order operations? What's that all about? Certainly has the conspiracy theorists with their antennas high. Stay with me. We'll be right back after this.
Just in, a military drill in downtown Miami, complete with these Black Hawk helicopters, elite soldiers, and police officers swarming the streets. It's kind of scary when you suddenly look up and see that, but it's all about being prepared for the unknown of urban combat.
And if you came across that scene that you just saw tonight, well, it likely left you in awe. Local 10 photographers, along with reporter Christina Vasquez, were there to witness it all. Christina.
In awe, and as you mentioned, it can be quite alarming. We counted them, 7 Black Hawks thundered across downtown Miami. And we're going to take a pause here so you can listen in, so you can appreciate what it sounded like to be there. A rare sight indeed to see these Black Hawks weaving in between downtown Miami buildings. And what I can tell you, what we know, is that this was a joint military drill with the Department of Defense and Miami-Dade County Police. The rest, we are told, is classified, but for being a secret operation, it was certainly conducted, as you see, in such a public way, in full public view, as they made their way from downtown Miami over to Marlins Park and then roared right back. I can tell you that a similar drill was conducted on Tuesday night. I know that because I saw it firsthand. We asked all the questions you might imagine about what was conducted today, but we are told, Lori and Calvin, that all of that information cannot be released to the public.
And any indication, Christina, if we'll see this again tomorrow night or through the weekend?
Classified.
I stood on the steps of the old state capitol in Springfield, Illinois, and began an unlikely journey to change America. We've got to have a civilian national security force that's just as powerful, just as strong, just as well-funded.
If you talk to our generals, they are desperate for is a civilian counterpart to our military force.
I will cut tens of billions of dollars in wasteful spending. I will cut investments in unproven missile defense systems. I will not weaponize space. I will slow our development of future combat systems. And I will institute an independent Defense Priorities Board to ensure that the quadrennial defense review is not used to justify unnecessary spending. Third, I will set a goal of a world without nuclear weapons. To seek that goal, I will not develop new nuclear weapons. I will seek a global ban on the production of fissile material, and I will negotiate with Russia to take our ICBMs off hair trigger alert and to achieve deep cuts in our nuclear arsenals. The view that America is part of what has gone wrong in our world rather than a force to help us make it right has become all too common. Yes, there have been differences between America and Europe. No doubt there will be differences in the future. But the burden of global citizenship continues to bind us together. A change of leadership in Washington will not lift this burden. In this new century, Americans and Europeans alike will be required to do more, not less. Partnership and cooperation among nations is not a choice. It is the only way, the one way, to protect our common security and advance our common humanity.
And Barack Obama will require you to work. He is going to demand that you shed your cynicism, that you put down your division, that you come out of your isolation, that you move out of your comfort zones, that you push yourself to be better, and that you engage. Barack will never allow you to go back to your lives as usual, uninvolved, uninformed.
We are 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America.
Because of Obama, I'm inspired to be the next automotive technician.
Because of Obama, I'm inspired to be the next architect.
Because of Obama, I'm inspired to be the next engineer.
Because of Obama, I'm inspired to be the next fireman.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Yes, you can.
Yes, we can.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. Obama's health care plan will include coverage and voluntary medical service.
Obama's health care plan will simplify paperwork for providers.
Obama's health care plan will provide subsidies for families who cannot afford Medicaid. John King, retreat! Out on labor! Out on labor! Out on labor!
I've got a core set of values that I think have to be advanced.
Obama's gonna change it. Obama's gonna lead 'em. We're gonna change it and rearrange it. We're gonna change the world.
Speaks for itself, huh, girls? I mean, it's stunning for me to hear it again.
Yeah, it's spooky.
You know, this president, can I say this, is dangerous for our children.
I think you're being very responsible by saying it's dangerous. I'd have to challenge. Well, there's so many things we could challenge there, but there's one thing that I heard that I'm gonna have a Joe Wilson moment. You lie. He said that he's spoken with generals that have said they are desperate for a civilian counterpart. I'm sorry, prove it.
Absolutely. I've never heard that. I've never read it. What generals are we talking about? Desperate for a civilian force? Oh, I don't think so.
Well, and where in the Constitution does he see justification for the federal government's creating a domestic army? There are all sorts of questions. These kinds of initiatives have happened elsewhere, like in Cuba, the Soviet Union, China, Venezuela, North Korea, but not in free countries.
No.
That's what we talked about on Monday's show, his unprecedented power grab. And I'm sure our listeners are aware that he changed Obamacare alone 27 times. And when I mean change, that's a law. It's the Congress's job to change laws. He can veto, he can make suggestions, but he has actually changed the law. And as we're seeing here, that's why I wanted to play that whole clip to get that full feel of where he's going and what his agenda is. And he said, I've got a pen and I've got a phone, and I'm going to do what I think needs to be done, whether Congress agrees with me or not.
Yeah, I think that the American voter needs to take up this campaign. There used to be a movie. There was a movie at one time with Andy Griffith, and it called "No Time for Sergeants." Well, this election, no time for cowards, because why is the opposition? Why is the GOP saying nothing about the fact that he's usurping their authority? This is incredible.
Yeah, well, there are a few like Ted Cruz and Mike Lee, but it's going to take more than that. When I think about the fact that's why I put the clip in there. People are maybe wondering, where's she going with the military thing? That clip where he said that he was going to, well, basically, I won't repeat it all because he said a lot, but he's lessening our military. He's lessening all those things. That's his goal. And yet he wants to increase a civilian security force. This is unprecedented. This is unheard of.
Well, and doesn't it remind you of Iran's Revolutionary Guard?
Yeah.
It's just not. Yeah. It's not constitutional. It's absolutely out of the realm of what's reasonable in our country. And when the one quote, when she said, Obama will not let you go as usual, you're going to have to. I mean, there was just almost a threat. He's going to demand, she said.
Exactly. He won't let you. What does that mean? That should concern everyone. That's not, that's very strong rhetoric. And look who it's coming from, someone who's never been proud of this country. So I think that we should take that as almost a threat. What do you mean he won't let you? There's something extremely, not just the tone, the words. We have to take everything very seriously what's being said there. And anyway, again, I ask him, the American voter, what exactly was it that enamored you about someone who disliked this country so much that they want to fundamentally transform it? If you love something, it's like somebody saying to you, I love you, now I'm going to change you completely. Well, what is it you love?
Well, and then the fact that she, as you said, she wasn't proud of America until he was elected. And we are finding out that the things that he was saying, even some on the left are saying, wait a minute, maybe this isn't what I thought it was. He basically told us what he was going to do. We just didn't get it.
No.
Yeah.
We just didn't get it.
He takes the other entryway. It's illegal for the U.S. military to enforce laws within the nation. So, hey, take another route. Get domestic followers who will fill that need. It's going to build up to another civil war if we're not careful here, because not everybody's going to go along like a lemming.
Yeah, and it is the young people that are targeted. College students teaching younger students and making it mandatory for a 2-year stint. He's trying to make it sound like the Peace Corps in country, but he said that we need this civilian security force, again, that's just as powerful, just as strong, and just as well funded as our military. I mean, do we even need to talk about how much our military costs? I mean, ladies and gentlemen, he's telling us here. First time, shame on him. Second time, shame on us. We should really be paying attention here.
Yeah.
Well, and then that last clip of those young black students that were doing marching and saying their cadence, all about Obama. Because of Obama, I'm going to do this, and because of Obama, I can do that. And then talking about healthcare. I mean, these are like junior high and high school kids. And then they're marching out saying Alpha Omega. Alpha Omega. I mean, who does that title belong to?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you had the same thing. You had the same thing in Germany. They were singing about Hitler the same way in the classroom. So tell me where the difference is there. He was the alpha and omega for them. So this is what the kids believe, and this is who is the teacher there that's allowing that? Who's conducting this? Allowing kids to say something like that.
And then that little girl, that sweet little voice in the very end of the clip singing, that was in a school that they invited all the parents to come and hear this little choir, and she was the closing soloist on it. I mean, crazy. I mean, it's like Chris Matthews, right? You got to thrill up his leg, and the thrill hasn't gone away. And, I don't think he was the only one that got the thrill.
Got to listen to those interviews that those college students gave. They didn't know a thing. But here, these are younger junior high and high school kids that have all the sound bites down perfectly. This is indoctrination. This isn't something that came from the knowledge of their own hearts. These are sound bites. Yeah. And in an indoctrinating setup of militant type worship of the Alpha and Omega and the one who can meet all of our needs through change. Very disturbing.
Yeah, what you were talking about, the college students there that didn't know one Bill of Rights, didn't know what the Bill of Rights was, didn't know what it was part of, which is incredible. But ask them something about Honey Boo Boo, and I guess they could tell you.
Yeah.
Keep it here. We'll be right back.
Academia is often the wellspring of race hatred. This is something that we need to recognize. Eugenics, indeed, was a campaign to create a master race by do-gooders and progressives. They were attempting to create a utopia.
Exposing the worldviews behind the political, cultural, and ideological wars being waged in our nation and world.
What's ending up happening is that Christians who say, I don't care about issues, they realize that's what's being used to silence the gospel. If they can silence the truth, they will silence the gospel.
You're being a watchwoman on the wall, Sharon. I say that with all sincerity. Appreciate what you're doing to sound the alarm, and we need more shows like yours.
Changing Worldviews gets funded entirely through the tax-deductible donations of our supporters. If you've not done so already, renew your active support today. And if you're new to Changing Worldviews, would you consider helping us with the donation, becoming a monthly partner to help get the truth out and tell the world the side of the story that mainstream media doesn't report? Thank you so much ahead of time for supporting our efforts.
Well, that's only about a third of the show. If you want to hear it all, go to changingworldviews.com. Click on the Blog Talk Radio link there, because this was a show that we did live online earlier this week, and you can hear it all. Just look for Culture Warriors, laws that are harmful for children. And we are going to be watching this, so I encourage you to stay tuned every day, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday here on KDIA, and then, of course, on Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday for our online live streamed show. In the meantime, let me encourage you to stay aware, stay alert, because we are not only living in a changing world, but we need to be informed and know what's going on, and we also need to educate those in our family, our friends, and spheres of influence. And so until I see you next time, this is Sharon Hughes saying it like it is.
Thanks for listening to Changing Worldviews with Sharon Hughes. You can get more information on today's topic or order a CD of today's show by visiting changingworldviews.com or writing us at Changing Worldviews, P.O. Box 750624, Petaluma, California, 94975-0624. You can also contact us at talk@changingworldviews.com. That's talk@changingworldviews.com. Our program is listener-supported, and we appreciate your tax-deductible donations to help us get the truth out on the important issues Sharon addresses on the show. So until next time, remember, stay alert, stay informed. We live in a changing world.